English Story Times, Book 52, Story 3. Standing on Her Toes. Line 1. Here we can only see the silhouette. Here we can only see the silhouette of the bottom half of the woman. Of the bottom half of the woman. Here we can only see the silhouette of the bottom half of the woman. Question. How much can we see of her? Can we see of her? How much can we see of her? Well, here we can only see the silhouette of the bottom half of the woman. Line 2. A silhouette is a dark outline of something. A silhouette is a dark outline of something against a light background. Against a light background. A silhouette is a dark outline of something against a light background. How would you describe a silhouette of something? How would you describe a silhouette of something? A silhouette of something. Well, a silhouette is a dark outline of something against a light background. Line 3. Silhouettes give us the general shape of things. The general shape of things. Silhouettes give us the general shape of things. How do we get, or rather, what do we get? Check that. What do we get from a silhouette of something? From a silhouette of something. What do we get from a silhouette of something? Well, silhouettes give us the general shape of things. Line 4. Her top half is covered. Her top half is covered by a piece of material. By a piece of material. Her top half is covered by a piece of material. Question. Why isn't her top half visible? Why isn't her top half visible? Well, her top half is covered by a piece of material. Line 5. She's in great shape. She's in great shape. And since we can see the curve of her butt very defined, she's standing in the nude. She's standing in the nude. She looks in great shape, and since we can see the curve of her butt very defined, she's standing in the nude. Question. From what we can see of her, how can we classify her shape? How can we classify her shape? From what we see of her, how can we classify her shape? Well, what leads you to believe that she's standing in the nude? That she's standing in the nude? What leads you to believe she's standing in the nude? Well, she looks in great shape, and since we can see the curve of her butt very defined, she's standing in the nude. Line 6. She's standing in the shadow. She's standing in the shadow or shade of the material. Or shade of the material. She's standing in the shadow or shade of the material. What helps make the silhouette is the fact. What helps make the silhouette is the fact that she's standing in the what of the material. What of the material? What helps make the silhouette is the fact that she's standing in the what of the material. She's standing in the shadow or shade of the material. Line 7. If we look, we can see that she's standing on her toes. That she's standing on her toes. If we look, we can see that she's standing on her toes. Question. She's not standing flat-footed. She's not standing flat-footed. How's she standing? How's she standing? She's not standing flat-footed. How's she standing? Well, if we look, we can see that she's standing on her toes. Line 8. Since this is a side view of her, we can also call it a profile view of her. A profile view of her. Since this is a side view of her, we can also call it a profile view of her. Question. This is a side view of her. This is a side view of her. Or a what view of her? Or a what view of her? This is a side view of her, or a what view of her? Well, since this is a side view of her, we can also call it a profile view of her. Your goal is 44 seconds. Here, let me read this. Here we can only see the silhouette of the bottom half of the woman. A silhouette is a dark outline of something against a light background. Silhouettes give us the general shape of things. Her top half is covered by a piece of material. She looks in great shape, and since we can see the curve of her butt very defined, she's standing in the nude. She's standing in the shadow or shade of the material. If we look, we can see she's standing on her toes. Since this is a side view of her, we can also call it a profile view of her.